How y'all doing? My name is Johnny Daniels, and you are now listening and watching the Community Leaders Podcast.
What's up? It's your boy Los, and you are watching and listening to the Community Leaders Podcast. And today, I have a certain gentleman across from me. Introduce yourself.
How y'all doing? My name is Johnny Daniels from Chicago, Illinois. Born and raised on the Westside. To be specific, I grew up around the LaFollette Park area.
Awesome. So, Johnny, you grew around on the West Side, correct?
Yeah.
So tell us what you do right now.
So right now I'm a dean of students at Tilton Elementary, and I'm also an emotional intelligence specialist, and I'll go to juveniles and volunteer to do like emotional intelligence.
What does that entail? What emotional intelligence? What does that entail?
So to make a long story short, really learning how to respond to disrespect, right? Learning how to have that pause, to have a moment to think about what would be the consequence for a temporary feeling, right? So sometimes moments can become something where we got to suffer for either a lifetime or a duration of a period that when we sit down and we think, maybe I could have done something better that would have not led me to the place where I am. So just having an opportunity to do things like that and just having that mindset.
Okay, so how long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing this. So I've been getting trained for it all my life, but I've been doing it as a job for about 3 years.
Okay, so how you liking this new position you have?
Oh, I like it. I love it. It's how can I put it, man? It's everything I asked God for. It's everything I asked God for. Like even the days where I feel like it's the most difficult. It still feels right for me. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like these are things that I asked for. So even if it's something that I come into for it to be a challenge, I know it's for character development, and I know I needed to work on this thing for whatever else God got planned for me.
Okay,
For sure. So
I'm loving that.
for sure.
So you're liking what you're doing. What were your plans before this? Before these 3 years that you're in doing this new gig? What was your plan for life? Was it doing this?
Not at all. I'm talking about, this is something that God had cooking up for me. He was just waiting for me to ask.
Okay.
But before that, I wanted to go to the league. I played football. So the NFL was my dream. That was my thing that I wanted to do.
Okay. So that was your dream all your life, to be a football player in the NFL?
That was my entire identity. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to be.
Okay, we're gonna dive deep into that.
Sure.
But I want to know who are you right now? So other than what you do for work, who are you?
Who am I as a person?
Yeah, as a person.
Man, I'm a man of God. I am a renewed mind, right? I am a renewed mind. I'm somebody that, I know it's cliche to say, but I'm somebody that truly care about our youth, truly care about our kids. Even so much of going out of my way or doing extra things to invest in people, right? To invest in them as people, because I have an ideology from this time period from 12 and below, they're more so dependents. And from 21 and above, they're independents. But it's a transition phase in the middle.
Okay.
That maybe some people don't really realize, right? Because the brain, the frontal lobe, it don't develop it don't finish developing until age 25, right?
That's what I heard. Yeah, that's what I heard.
You feel me?
I gotta look that up though, but yeah. I'm pretty sure it's around there. Yeah.
For sure. So I try to emphasize on that age group, right? Because I know sometimes we may get lost in an identity crisis, right? On who am I? What am I here for? What am I supposed to do? And I believe that it's more so of a lot of that going on within our city, within our country, within the world, period, right?
Okay.
So that's who I am. I'm a nerd. I love searching and researching wisdom. I chase wisdom.
That's
I chase
awesome.
wisdom. I just like hearing about things that maybe, like, I want to see how things work. I'm very curious. If you describe me in one word, curiosity is the foundation of learning for me. I'm so curious about things. I love learning. Like it's so fun, and that's why I'm so big on God, and cause it's an infinite source of wisdom, God, and love, and it's like, how can you not want more of this, right? So that's who I am.
That's awesome, Johnny. I love that. But you're also a father.
I am.
How old is your child?
She one.
What is her name?
Her name is Jaya. Okay. So Jaya is one. She loves Bob Marley.
Okay.
She likes sing too.
Okay.
That's a spark in my heart for real though. So
I just want to say something. If you guys listening, you might hear a baby in the background because Jaya is in the building. She is in the building. Her mom has been in the building as well. They're here as a family. They're here together, supporting this gentleman right here, Johnny.
Appreciate it.
So that's awesome. So your father, and you said she's 1 year old.
She's 1 year old.
That's awesome.
Man, she is a actual blessing, like an actual miracle. So, I'm make a long story short, I couldn't even have children, right? But then I ended up, I had a pain one day. So, fellas, I encourage to get checked up.
Wait a second. You couldn't have. This is what you just said. You couldn't have children, right?
Right.
But you had a pain one day. What is this pain?
It was called varicocele, right? So it was I had varicocele, some veins, and on my left testicle.
Okay.
And it had to be a surgery correction, but I was so happy to find out that was what's going on, right? So in a way, in my days of indulging in sin, I feel like God looked out for me, right? He waited for the right moment for this to happen, for me to find out that was what was going on, right? And so, and I found that out, got corrective surgery,
and boom, we got a baby.
There it is.
That's awesome. So how long you been with your significant other?
We've been together for 3 years, going on 4.
Going on 4 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You were telling me where you guys went for on the first date. Where was that first date at?
I was at Jerk Villa on Michigan Ave.
What is Jerk Villa for the people that are not from Chicago? What is Jerk Villa?
Jerk Villa, the spot. If you're a big Jerk fan, that's one place I suggest. It's a lot of Chicago really big on the Jerk scene though. So like
it is, yeah.
So that's just one place. It was smooth. It's also like a little bar club type vibe to it too. So it got good food,
good
bar
sounds.
Club vibe. But it took a little minute for the food to come out though. At one point, so we almost left. But no, it was pretty good food though.
So was it love at first sight? Like Carl Thomas song? It was love at first sight. Was it like that?
I was a little, I ain't gonna lie, when I first seen her for a show, it was lust that I had in my eyes for sure. She beautiful, right? But when I got a chance to sit down and really figure out who she is as a person and had an opportunity to explore her mind, it was like, this hard to leave from, right? This is comfort right here. And then I seen how she responded to her parents. That's what really That's what really drew me in. How she responded to her mother, right? Yeah. Even and her father, even with her being an adult. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
That's something attractive. And when I was at that point, I was looking for somebody. I'm like, if I do have a daughter, which I end up having, she gonna be like you. So I gotta be mindful of who it is that I decide I want to spend the rest of my life with.
I love that, bro. I love that because most people don't think that way. Most young men don't think that way, even though we want them to. They don't. I know I didn't. To tell you the truth, I didn't. But I love that what you said in the beginning, that it wasn't love right away. Mm-hmm. It was something else. She was very good looking. She is very good looking. You're saying. I don't want to say she is because I don't want to disrespect.
For sure.
But what took you was her mind. Mm. What actually took you over the edge to love, to LOV, was her mind and her respect to her parents. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah, man. Principles is big for me. Like who you are as a person. I always think about like we gonna get old, right? Our skin gonna get wrinkled. Can I still be with you when the lust fades?
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? So it's deeper than just a physical appearance, because things happen. What if something happened and my skin get burnt or something like that? Will you still love me, or was it lust? Right. So I don't want to put myself in that position of feeling in that way, right? Or even put her in the position of that, because I care too much about what God think about me to play with somebody else. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not on that type of time.
Bro, I gotta tell you, I'm loving this interview right now.
Appreciate you, bro.
Because we got two men of God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Speaking real. We're talking real stuff.
For sure.
We're not sugarcoating what lust is.
For sure.
What we experience.
Man.
But we are talking about how it made us feel, right? The transition of hearing someone talk and feeling somebody's soul. Mm-hmm. Their mind.
For sure.
I love this interview. I'm loving
Appreciate it.
I love it. So I'm gonna take you back a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna take you back to 10 years old, because we heard there was a transition.
Yeah.
But this transition didn't happen at 10 years old. Transition happened recently.
Yeah,
so
man.
At 10 years old, who were you? Who was Johnny?
At 10?
At 10 years old.
At 10 years old, I was very observative. I played a lot. My cousins would probably say I ain't gonna use the word bully, but I was aggressive. But I ended up getting in football, right? I started. That was my first year playing football at 10 years old. My first game, I promise you guys, my uncle, all my people, I heard somebody, and I'm not saying it to like as if I'm proud of it, but it was like at that point, I'm like, I knew I liked football. I'm like, this is fun. Like we just run into each other. Like I just had a lot of aggression. I was one of those kids, and it came from things that I couldn't quite process at that age, right? But having an outlet for that, right? And just being observative of, things going on around me. If I kind of seen things like, I don't think that'll work for me if it ain't work for him. So I'm not gonna do that. And then I had uncles who had been down that line, right? They had been in the field already, right? So it's like, I don't need to do that. I can get them. And then they had validated themselves to me, because I see people like showing them respect, like, hey, this, that, and the third. And they'll break it down to me like, yeah, nephew, growing up, this was what it is, but now we different people, right? So we don't need you to go down there. And I respected them in that way. So I was very observative, and that's what I observed. I observed them as being like leaders, and I observed them as being somebody I could trust.
So you've always been respectful?
I always been respectful. Awesome. That was big
awesome.
For our family.
In a city that's disrespectful.
Man, yeah, for sure.
So you didn't experience anything like that, anything wrong around the neighborhood?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. For sure I did, for sure.
What did your neighborhood look like?
My neighborhood, it was, it was the hood. It was the hood for real, though. I didn't even realize it was the hood until somebody told me, though, right? Because when you grew up in an environment, what it is what it is to you, right? And so, I say my 8th grade year, I lost our first childhood friend. I was like, that was the first time that I ever experienced something like that.
You experienced a childhood friend passing away?
Yeah, a couple. From gun violence. Okay. From gun violence. So like growing up, it wasn't too bad though. Like we'd have it'll be fights here and there, but you know how that be. Individualism, right? People may not agree because my fault. People may not agree because of just different realities and things like that, or it may be, some conflict thing, but it never had gotten to a point where it was gun violence. But that happened a little bit later on, like my 8th grade year. But other than that, I had a good childhood. I grew up. We had fun.
Mother and pops in the house?
My dad wasn't in the house with me, but as I got older, me and him got closer. We got a lot closer, right? Well, for a couple reasons. For one, I need to understand who I am so my daughter can understand who we are, right? So my father is a big part of who I am. And I need to understand things about me that I don't understand about me. And the way I can do that is by getting to know both of my parents, right? So I had to put a lot of ego and pride aside and anger and things like that. And that started from within first. And that happened when I locked in with God. He was showing me honor thy mother and thy father, right? And so, man, my pops, we had an opportunity to chop it up, and it was smooth. To this day, he very wise, man. I love my pops. So as I became an adult and I understand bills and things like that, it could have been that, right? He was, so every time he came to Chicago, he stayed in Indianapolis. Every time he came to Chicago, I saw him, right? But as far as like him being there consistently, he was in a different state. You get what I'm saying? But I always chopped it out with my pops. He'll come and get me whenever he can and things like that. So it's all good, man. Awesome. My dad, that's my guy. I chopped it out with him yesterday. He's somebody that sows into me. As far as like who I am and not forgetting like, hey, you that dude for real, bro. Like carry yourself that way. So that's
I love that.
Sure.
I love that. So you have how many brothers and sisters?
So on my dad's side, it's 9 of us, but on my mom's side, it's just 3 of us. I got an older brother. He 11 years old.
Wait.
He was.
Let's roll that back because I thought we had a different number earlier. I think the number got bigger.
No.
So it's 9 altogether.
8. Well, I got a brother. I got a big brother.
How many on your brother? How many on your father's side?
9 of us. It's 9 of us.
And then 3 on your mom's side.
3 on my mom's side.
We get that number wrong?
Yeah.
We said 11 earlier when we were talking. So
11?
Yeah. So there's actually 12.
12, yeah.
Altogether.
Yeah.
That's a big family.
Well, including me. I'm the third
You're 13,
on my mom's
right.
side. Yeah.
So that's a huge family.
Yeah.
Do you guys get together often?
Yeah. So this past Thanksgiving, I went to Mississippi.
Okay.
On my father's side of the family, I had a ball down there. There was a lot of family I ain't seen in a minute.
I've never been to Mississippi, and I want to go.
You for real?
I always see the cookouts in Mississippi. I want to go to a cookout.
It's a whole different vibe from Chicago. You let your head down, kick it. It's good food, good vibes, bro. It's smooth. The country love. Man, it was smooth. I love Mississippi. Both sides, my mother's side and my father's side is originally from Mississippi.
Okay.
From just different parts though.
Okay.
But yeah, we all from the South for real though. You know that big migration from Mississippi to Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Our family was a part of that.
That's love.
So,
that's love. Have you ever found out any more family history?
No, not yet. But
that's the one you just said is a great one.
Yeah,
they were
sure.
part of that big migration that happened.
A big migration, yeah. I also did have a great uncle on my father's side. He fought in World War II.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome, bro.
Sure.
That's awesome. So I thought about 10 years old. What about now you're 18 years old? Who were you when you were 18 years old?
When I was 18.
18.
I was feeling myself a little bit.
You're feeling yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
okay.
man. I was the first D1 player for football that came from my high school, right?
What high school was that?
Former high school.
Okay.
Former high school. So I was on my way to college. I ended up leaving early, and I came back to graduate. I left early just because of what was going on and things like that. My coach had considered that. He was like, you can come now. Excuse me. He like, you can come now, and we can let you go back for your graduation. So I ended up leaving early just to get some workouts in and stuff like that. So at this point, I was experiencing a whole new vibe. Like, I still had I went down there with Chicago mentality. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't know, buddy, now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was who I was, but I was a product of my environment.
Right.
At the same time, I was still observative, too. And then I ended up linking up with guys that came from the same type of environments that I came from, and it was so raw because we ended up locking in together, and we grew as men from that point, right? So at the age of 18, it was a transition from just environment, but I was young, strong, fast. I was still respectful though, but I kind of
You had a little cockiness.
I did. I need, and God humbled me from that. He did for sure.
So my question was, you're going to college now, right? You went to college. What college did you go to?
I went to Purdue University.
Purdue. Isn't this where you met your lovely fiance?
She went to Purdue as well. She was a year ahead of me. I didn't know her. I'm glad I didn't because that wasn't the right time. It wasn't. I wasn't who I am right now.
Okay.
Like, I know my coach used to ask us. He used to be like, when our coach would be like, "Would you let your daughter date you right now?" At that point, no, not at all.
Oh, definitely, I wouldn't let.
Oh no, for sure not.
I wouldn't let nobody date me until I was 50. I'm kidding. Definitely kidding. But okay, so That's your 18. You went to college. What did you do in college?
I ended up going to school for criminal justice. Not knowing what I wanted to do with that at all. And then after I graduated, after college, I redshirted my first year. Then I ended up going to the University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff.
Okay.
I wanted the HBCU experience. I played a semester there.
Yeah.
I had a ball, went to an all-star game. That was fun.
So did you still have those dreams of being an NFL player?
I did. I did at that point.
Okay.
And it didn't happen. So I ended up going back to so it was a transition period where I had an identity crisis, right? Because I didn't know who I was outside of football, right?
Uh-huh.
And then that's when it got to this point of me. That's when my life with God started. And then from there, I ended up going to school for forensic psychology, just due to the things God was exposing to me. I was curious as to why, what. I had so many questions, and the way that I can get towards those things that I wanted to know was to go back to school. That's what He led me to. So after college, I had an identity crisis. Didn't know who I was because football had been eliminated. And so I contemplated suicide, right? So I had a situation where I decided this would be my last everything. Went to the gym. I had my gun on my lap. I had just cooked the last meal, and I had got on YouTube, right? So I'm getting on YouTube, and you know the little skip ad buttons? It wasn't there, right? So I'm trying, so I gotta sit here and watch, and TD Jakes came on, and it was like, he was speaking to me. It was like he was speaking to me. And that was my first time I ever had anything of that. So like I always knew God. We always been to church and things like that faithfully. My mom always kept me in church and things like that. But to this degree, on this level, this personal, I had not experienced this before in my life. And it was something that shook me, right? So it was like he heard me because before this, I'm like, who am I? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm just here walking around, and I don't want to be like that. Like, I don't want to. It was different, for sure. So, yeah, that was the time.
So a little small reel from TD Jakes changed your perspective on life.
It was too direct. It was too direct. And I knew I had asked God who I was, and it was that question was being answered, and it was like I got the answer I was looking for, and so from that, it went more into who am I, and He led me to a serial killer documentary. Now I'm panicking like, bro, how is this guy lead me a serial killer documentary? This don't make sense.
Well, there's always a message.
It is, right? So as I'm watching the documentary, it's specifying certain things on childhood. And I'm like, I know people that grew up like that. Like, it's shorties that's going through this for real, like right now. And they become serial killers. And then in a way, it was a message delivered like it is in a music and where serial killers are being glorified. Like catching bodies as if it's something to glorify. And this is a demonic agenda, right? And so at that point, I didn't know that God was preparing me to be who I am now. But I had so many questions as to how did serial killers become the way they are? Why are you thinking like that? What happened to you? That He led me down that path, and I ended up working at a juvenile for 4 years. I worked at a juvenile after I got done with schooling.
What do you mean juvenile?
I worked at a juvenile as a juvenile counselor.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Not a juvenile detention center.
No, a juvenile detention center.
So a prison.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to get there. It's a prison.
Right.
What prison was this?
It was Lake County Juvenile Host Detention Center.
Okay.
So I went there with the mindset of studying kids as a subject, only to find out they need love. They don't understand emotional intelligence. They got a rough home life. It's different things that I encountered there at the juvenile that was molding me, and at the same time, in belief of being a psychosis, my mind was being renewed and molded. It was like I said, I was going through an identity crisis. I didn't know who I was, but I knew I was becoming something different from what I was. You get what I'm saying? because my mind was changing. My thoughts was different. The way I wanted to do things, my urges was different. I knew I was aligning myself with God, right? But so looking at these kids that way, and then I ended up becoming so close with them, and we was chopping it up because it's like, oh well, all this is that. All this is that. Chopping it up with them as a brother would do or as a father would do. You know what I'm saying?
They just needed a big brother then.
That's it.
And someone to love on them and guidance.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Just guidance, and I was guiding them through the things God was teaching me. So I'm going through pain, and I'm talking to them about their pain. I'm like, I should have took that advice myself, but it wasn't meant for me. It was meant for them.
Yeah.
Right, and God was using me in a broken state, and I needed every part of that. So, for sure, after that, I had a kid that told me. He told me. So from this point, this is the first clue I got that it was time to move on. God, the kid tell me, he say, I love what you doing here. I wish you could tell. He said, I wish you could tell us this before we get in here.
Wow.
And he locked eyes with me. I'm like, okay, I gotta leave. So from there, I ended up working for a company. I ain't gonna put their name out there. I ended up working for a company. I was with them for 9 months, and we would travel to CPS schools, and we'll do group therapy sessions with the kids and things like that. But the curriculum that they had, it wasn't for black people. It wasn't for brown people. It wasn't for our communities. It was more things that was unrealistic in a situation. How can I use this when those resources are not provided for me in the curriculum that you're using? So I switched it up. I started using what was in the curriculum and applying it to how we can apply to it, right? And so the kids would be drawn in. So they asked, like, what are you doing? So we had make a long story short, it was a little conflict about how the curriculum was used, and they let me go. So all glory to the Most High. Me and God partnered and created our own curriculum, specifically for black and brown people.
I love it.
I was going into juveniles, throughout the community, everywhere. Anywhere where children that was in need, I was going out. I was reaching out to anybody who would be willing to listen, who had kids. And it was something that when you experience it, those companies and those kids, they wanted more of it, right? And then from this point, I had a child. So now I'm doing all of this voluntarily too. All this, I'm not getting paid for none of this. I'm doing it off of strength because God told me to do this.
Let's go.
Right? I'm not getting paid for none of that. So now I need to get paid. I need
you put some food in that belly.
Some food, you know what I'm saying? Different things now.
Yeah.
Once my lady, she broke the news to me, cool. I know what I gotta do. So at this point, I started experiencing strong spiritual warfare. I got in 2 car accidents in 2 months, like back to back. It's so much stuff I can't even name, but it was just things that was happening, and I understood because at this point I was rocking hard with God. I am rocking hard still, but at this point I felt what was going on, right? Mm-hmm. So I say maybe like a month after she was born, I ended up applying to Breakthrough Urban Ministries. Mm-hmm. For sure. Ended up applying to Breakthrough Urban Ministries. Met kids that was also transitioning back into schools. Because some of them was disengaged with school or had just been released out of jail, and I had got a job there as a youth therapist.
That's awesome. You've been doing some great things.
Man, glory to God. Things. Appreciate it.
And I love that. So what is next for you? What do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? Other than growing a beautiful family?
For sure. My intentions, I would love to be a consultant of sort where I can help out with youth or those who want to learn how to connect with youth and get them to a place where they're able to, work with them and get the youth to comprehend to them what they're like, the message they trying to get through. So I thought, how sometimes you can have a gift and you expect everybody else to be gifted in the same way that you are because you're not aware that it's a gift, right? So like being able to talk to kids and youth that's hard to reach and things like that, I feel like that's a gift that I'm just now getting comfortable with because I was afraid of who I was, right? And so I feel like I want to be a consultant to help out adults that's working with youth, or even speak on panels with youth. And then the big thing I want to have so right now at Tilton I have an after school program that I'm working with my school, right? So it's at my school, and on Mondays we learn about, life skilling, we learn about emotional intelligence, SEL, different things like that. And then, we have physical activities we do and things like that. And on Wednesdays, I have guest speakers that come to the school to speak to the kids, like great minds who maybe you probably would never encounter. So I reach out for people, great minds and things like that, and they can have an opportunity to share what they know in front of the kids, and they've been loving it. It's been so great. It's been such a blessing, bro. That's awesome. And so I would love to have a after school program where I could do this on a bigger scale for more kids in Chicago, period. Not only Chicago, but however God wanted to be, right? So I can plan, many other plans in man's heart, but the Lord's plan shall prevail, So awesome. I'm all for that. So a lot of things I got plans, but God's plan is gonna prevail. Like,
have you seen now being a part of CLF? Has that been helping you being a part of this cohort?
In so many ways, like the things I've learned from the sessions in CLF, I can apply. Like the next day if I go to work, right? So it may be like leadership things where I may not know, or I may have a problem on how to do. And CLF is able to answer those questions through the sessions, through the people that they have, even networking, right? Networking with people. I met some great people. Still connecting with them, planning on doing work with them and things like that. And I would have never, ever got the exposure towards, a lot of the resources that I have if it wasn't for CLF. And it's a big family. It's not like a group. It's a family, like real life family. Like I found my tribe, like for real. Like so many minds are like, I love it. It's a lot of funny people, man. They be
tons of funny people. The last event we had, CLF had that we were both at. We had a great time, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a ball. We had a ball.
Time. Good food too.
Great food. Great food.
Good food too.
Hey, you know what? We always eat good. I love the session.
Alex always takes care of people.
Man, Alex the good one. I love Alex, man. She be doing what she do. That's what's up. I thank God for her, for real.
I do too. So, last question.
For sure.
If you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
Man, the same power as Jesus Christ to heal people. Right?
Come on,
same. I like that. Man, hey, you know what? I was reading a verse yesterday, and I was asking God about leadership, and a verse had flashed across, right? And he was talking, and Jesus was saying, he was talking to James' mom, because she asked Jesus, can they be on his right and his left hand, right? And so from that point, I ended up reading what Jesus said, the first shall be last, right? And the last shall be first. And so from that point, I realized being a leader is being a servant, right?
That's right.
Being a leader is being a servant.
That's 100.
Catering to the needs of those who you see, right? For the will of God, right? I see a need here, and I have a gift from God. Therefore, don't it make sense? You see the puzzle? Mm-hmm. Put that together, connect that, right? So that would be my superpower, to be a healer, be a servant, and I'm trying my best to operate in that right now, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Johnny, I want to tell you thank you for coming down to the Leadership Podcast.
Appreciate you having me.
Man, I'm proud of you. Keep on doing what you're doing. And if you got one more thing to say, last thing, go ahead and say it now.
I done heard it multiple times growing up, and it was so cliche to hear, but get to know God. I promise you, all those things that you're searching for, God has so much better than what it is. I promise you. If you submit and you give Christ your life, everything that you want, and it's not even material things, it's that love and that peace that surpasses understanding. It's a real thing. It is real, bro. And if you look around and you see what's going on in this world, it's so unpredictable. And it would feel so good to have somebody that can protect you, and have somebody that He's God, man. How do you describe it? It's everything you looking for. If you don't feel love, you feel anger. This is where your peace is. You feel alone. This is where that presence that you looking for is. If you don't have it in mental aspects and things like that, this is where you're gonna get your clarity. This is the answer. This is the piece of your puzzle. Give your life to God. Submit to Him. That's all I gotta say.